Let me start by telling you something most doctors are too afraid to say out loud. You don't gain belly fat because you eat too much. You don't gain belly fat because you are lazy. You don't gain belly fat because you don't go to the gym. You gain belly fat because you were lied to by food companies, lied to by marketing, lied to by a system that tells you to count calories while it hides the real biochemical poison that makes your belly grow no matter how hard you try. Imagine standing on a scale after weeks of dieting and seeing the exact same number. Imagine dragging yourself through workouts, sweating, pushing, grinding, only to notice that your belly looks exactly the same. Imagine hearing advice like eat less and move more and wondering why it works for nobody after the age of 45. Imagine blaming yourself for something that is not your fault. I have spent more than 40 years treating patients with obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and fatty liver disease. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the cultural belief linking calories to belly fat is one of the greatest medical failures of the 20th century. Calories are not the driver of belly fat. Exercise is not the solution to belly fat. The real cause of belly fat is biochemical. It begins in your liver. It begins with a molecule your body was never designed to handle in the amounts we consume today. It begins with fructose. I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine the inside of your liver as a clean, organized laboratory. When you are young, everything works smoothly. Your liver processes nutrients, burns fat, regulates hormones, maintains blood sugar, and keeps your metabolism balanced. But as you get older, something begins to change, not because of age, but because your diet contains sugar in forms your liver cannot handle. Every time you eat table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice, dessert sweetened yogurt, cereal, sauces, condiments, salad dressings, granola bars, smoothies, or packaged snacks, you deliver a direct dose of fructose to your liver. And here is the catch that no one explained to you. Your liver is the only organ that can metabolize fructose. Your muscles cannot burn it. Your brain cannot burn it. Your tissues cannot use it. It is your liver's job alone. That means every gram of fructose you consume becomes your liver's. And when the burden is small, your liver can handle it. But when the burden becomes constant, overwhelming, and hidden inside nearly every processed food you eat, your liver can't keep up. It does what any overwhelmed organ would do. It stores the excess, and the form of storage is fat. Think about that. When your liver is overwhelmed with fructose, it turns that fructose into fat inside liver cells, fat in your belly. That fat triggers inflammation. That inflammation worsens insulin resistance. That insulin resistance forces your pancreas to produce more insulin. High insulin traps fat inside your belly like a biochemical prison. This is why your belly grows even if you eat less than you used to. This is why dieting doesn't work. This is why exercise alone doesn't shrink your waist. You are not battling calories. You are battling a metabolic cascade driven by fructose overload. For decades, people have counted calories, thinking it would help them lose weight. But the calorie model is outdated. It ignores hormones, it ignores inflammation, it ignores the liver, it ignores insulin. When you focus on calories, you treat weight gain as if it were math. But your body is not a calculator. It is a biochemical machine. And in biochemical machines, hormones decide what happens to fuel. So let me tell you the real truth. Belly fat is not stored because you ate more calories than you burned. Belly fat is stored because your liver was forced to produce fat. Your liver was forced to produce fat because you consumed fructose. Your pancreas was forced to respond with insulin, and insulin locked that fat in place. Once you understand that, everything begins to make sense. You understand why someone can eat 1,500 calories a day, still not lose weight. You understand why someone who jogs every morning, you understand why someone who avoids dessert still gains fat if their diet contains hidden sugars and processed foods. You understand why people develop fatty liver even if they never drink alcohol. You understand why insulin resistance becomes worse every year. And you understand why belly fat becomes harder to lose. You age. Let me tell you about some of the people I treated. A 55-year-old man who tried 3 different diets, walked every day, and still saw no progress. A 60-year-old woman who counted calories obsessively, still none of them were overeating, none were lazy, none lacked discipline. All were consuming hidden fructose without realizing it. Once they removed the fructose, their transformation began. But the story doesn't end with fructose. There is another enemy, one that hides behind labels like low-fat, whole grain, and healthy snack processed food. Processed food is engineered to overwhelm your liver and hijack your hormones. It is engineered to make you crave more. It is engineered to bypass your satiety signals. It is engineered to deliver high doses of sugar without fiber, without protection, without metabolic breaks. Processed food is the biochemical weapon that keeps your insulin high, your liver inflamed, and your belly expanding. Processed food is not real food. It is a chemical construction designed in laboratories and optimized for profit, not for your health. The sweetness, the textures, the flavors, the convenience, every element is engineered to activate your brain, not nourish your body. And when you live in a world where processed food is cheaper, faster, easier, and everywhere, it becomes almost impossible to escape the constant assault on your liver. Every snack, every drink, every boxed meal, every so-called healthy bar delivers sugar in forms your liver cannot defend itself against. And when your liver loses that battle, your belly pays the price. Now, let me explain something most people never hear from their doctor. Fat stored in your belly is not the same as fat stored under your skin. Belly fat, the firm and stubborn kind that wraps around your organs and pushes outward, is called visceral fat. Visceral fat is biologically active. It produces inflammatory chemicals that disrupt your hormones, destabilize your metabolism, and increase your risk of heart disease, dementia, stroke. And the biggest driver of visceral fat is not calories, it is insulin. High insulin turns every carbohydrate you eat into stored fat. High insulin prevents your body from accessing its fat stores. High insulin tells your cells to collect energy and never release it. That is why belly fat seems impossible to lose, even when you are disciplined. You are fighting a hormone, not a habit. You are fighting an endocrine disorder, not a calorie equation. And the hormone that decides whether your belly shrinks or expands is insulin. So, how do you lower insulin? How do you calm the storm inside your liver? How do you stop injury keeps your belly locked in place? The solution is not complicated. Your body responds to food categories the same way it has. For thousands of years, the foods that support your liver and shrink belly fat fall into three simple categories: fiber-rich foods, slow digesting proteins. Let me start with fiber. Fiber is not optional. Fiber is the metabolic shield that slows absorption, reduces insulin spikes, supports your microbiome, and protects your liver from sugar overload. There are two types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber forms a gel that slows the digestion of carbohydrates. Insoluble fiber provides bulk, helps move food through your system. When you eat foods rich in fiber, your blood sugar, your insulin rises gently, your liver stays protected, your belly fat does not receive the signal to grow. Now, let me talk about slow proteins. These are proteins your body digests gradually, such as eggs, fish, chicken, Greek yogurt without added sugar, cheese, and legumes. Slow proteins keep you full longer. They stabilize blood sugar, they prevent cravings, they reduce the urge to snack, and they keep insulin from spiking. When you start your meals with protein, you take control of your hormonal response instead of letting it control you. Finally, natural fats. I am talking about fats your grandparents recognized: olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, butter in moderation. Natural fats do not raise insulin. In fact, they help lower insulin by stabilizing your appetite and slowing digestion. Your body depends on fat for hormone production and cellular repair. You replace processed carbohydrates with natural fats, your metabolism becomes calmer and more capable of burning fat. The combination of fiber, slow protein, and natural fats is not a diet. It is human biology. It is the way your body wants to be fed. And when you follow this structure, something remarkable happens. Your insulin comes down, your cravings disappear, your hunger becomes predictable, your mood improves, your energy stabilizes, and your belly fat begins to shrink without forcing it. I remember a patient, a 55-year-old man who believed he had tried everything. He counted calories, he cut out bread, he went to the gym 4 times a week. Nothing worked, his belly stayed hard, and his blood sugar kept rising. But when he removed processed foods and built his meals with fiber, slow protein, and natural fats, everything changed. 3 weeks later, his wife told me she noticed the difference before he did. His belly was visibly smaller, his face looked less puffy, his energy was steadier, he no longer needed an afternoon snack, his glucose readings improved, and for the first time in years, another patient, a 62-year-old woman, had reached the point of giving up. She believed her age made change impossible. She believed she would live the rest of her life with a firm, unstable blood sugar. But all she needed was a shift in structure. She moved away from processed snacks, cereals, and packaged meals, and toward vegetables, proteins, and natural fats. Her belly softened within 2 weeks. Her fasting glucose dropped. Her mood brightened. She began sleeping better. And she stopped blaming herself for something that was never her fault. When you approach food this way, you stop treating your body like a calculator. You begin treating it like the biochemical system it is. And once you do that, the real cause of belly fat becomes impossible to ignore. The problem is not calories. It never was. The problem is insulin, and the food that determines your insulin response is almost always the food that comes with a label. If you take one lesson from this entire message, let it be this: if a food comes with a label, especially one filled with ingredients you cannot pronounce, your liver did not ask for it, your pancreas did not ask for it, your metabolism did not ask for it. Labels exist to sell, not to nourish. Foods that require packaging, advertising, fortification, and marketing usually contain sugars, additives, and chemicals engineered to make you eat more. When you remove those foods from your diet, your physiology stabilizes. When you replace them with real food, your hormones regain their natural balance. And when your hormones regain balance, belly fat no longer has a reason to exist. Let me tell you what happens inside your body once you remove processed foods and hidden sugars. Your liver begins clearing out the fat that has been accumulating inside its cells. It starts unlocking the metabolic pathways that allow it to burn fat instead of storing it. As liver fat decreases, your insulin sensitivity improves. As insulin sensitivity improves, your pancreas stops producing excessive insulin. As insulin falls, your ability to burn fat increases, your blood sugar becomes more stable, your cravings weaken, your belly softens, your energy rises, your mood improves. Everything that felt stuck begins to move again. People often ask me how long it takes to see results. The answer depends on how consistent you are, but the human body is remarkably responsive. Within the first 72 hours, many people notice a change in their cravings. Their afternoon slump becomes lighter. Their sleep feels better. Their digestion becomes calmer. Their face looks less puffy. Within a week, their belly often feels different, not necessarily smaller, but softer, because inflammation is decreasing. Within 2 to 3 weeks, their waist circumference begins to shift. Their blood sugar readings improve. Their energy stabilizes. And by the end of the first month, the difference is undeniable. This is the moment people usually realize something powerful. They realize that losing belly fat never about eating less. It was about removing the foods that were flooding their liver with fat. They realize that exercising more would never have solved the problem because their hormones were working against them. They realized they were never failing. They were fighting the wrong enemy. Once you understand the truth, you gain something even more valuable than weight loss. You gain control. You understand what your body wants from you. You understand why certain foods make you tired and others make you sharp. You understand why some meals leave you hungry again in 1 hour, while others keep you satisfied for hours. You understand your metabolism at a level most people never reach, and that understanding becomes freedom. I have seen people transform their health in ways they believed were a 64-year-old man who reversed prediabetes without medication, a 58-year-old woman lost visceral fat after years of frustration, a 70-year-old who believed his belly was permanent and then watched it shrink after 12 weeks of eating real food. These changes were not created through restriction. They were created through awareness. They were created through understanding. They were created through aligning with biology instead of fighting against it. Now, let me speak directly to you. If you feel trapped inside a body that no longer responds the way it used to, if you feel betrayed by diets that promised results but delivered disappointment, if you feel exhausted by trying to manage your weight with calorie rules that never seem to work, let me reassure you, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You have been misled by a story that was never rooted in science. The calorie model was designed because it was simple, not because it was true. And it convinced millions of people to doubt themselves instead of questioning the system. The real cause of belly fat is not overeating. It is not lack of exercise. It is not aging. It is not your genetics. It is not your metabolism. slowing down for no reason. The real cause of belly fat is liver overload driven by fructose and processed foods. And the moment you remove those foods, you give your liver the chance to heal. You give your pancreas space to breathe. You give your insulin room to fall. You give your metabolism the opportunity to work again, and your belly fat begins to melt. But through alignment, if you want to begin today, the rule is simple. If a food has a label, approach it with suspicion. If the label contains added sugar, syrups, artificial sweeteners, stabilizers, or ingredients you do not recognize, leave it behind. Choose vegetables with fiber that protect your liver. Choose proteins that digest slowly and stabilize your hunger. Choose natural fats, provide steady energy without raising insulin. Build your meals with real foods that come from nature, not from a factory. Do this consistently, and your transformation will be inevitable. Not dramatic, not overnight, but steady, predictable, and lasting. Your belly will shrink, your blood sugar will stabilize, your cravings will fade, your energy will improve, your mood will lift, and you will discover a version of yourself you thought was long gone. Let me close the way I close with every patient I treat. If you heal your liver, your belly will disappear on its own. If you calm your insulin, your weight will correct itself. If you stop eating the foods that poison your metabolism, your body will finally have the chance to show you how powerful it still is. And if you stop believing the lies you were told about, you will stop fighting your biology, begin working with it. You deserve a body that supports you. You deserve a metabolism that responds. You deserve mornings with energy instead of frustration. You deserve evenings without cravings. You deserve a life where your belly does not define your health. Everything you want begins with one decision. Stop feeding the enemy. Start feeding your biology. Your belly fat is not your fault, but its disappearance can be your triumph.